Hello and welcome to Property Mastermind Podcast, episode 208. Today we are talking building contracts and we're going to unpack them so you fully understand everything you need to know about a build contract because you're going to need one if you're a property developer. So let's jump into episode 208. Hello and welcome to episode 208. Hey, Bob.
Hey, how you going, Hilary?
I'm going good. Now, before we get started on building contracts and everything you need to know and everything we need to unpack, we're giving away the book. And this week, the book is going to you, Zia. I spoke to you today. We'll reach out to you via email and this will be in the post. So well done, you. I'm sure you'll enjoy it and I'll look forward to talking to you again soon. Anyway, Bob, what's your tip? And you're going to do the whole, Hilary, I haven't got a tip.
Well, there's a good tip for you.
What?
Be prepared. Get yourself a tip ready.
Yeah, well, that
instead of getting the podcast sorted out, hey, both of us.
Oh, so I've got to sort the podcast, the content, the episodes, set up the cameras, hit record, get everything sorted, and you just walk in, and the one thing you have to come up with is a tip, and you say, "Didn't you get me a tip?"
No.
Oh, I'm going to give you a tip. Watch your mouth on the mic. Remember,
Yep.
I keep getting feedback from everyone.
Keep it close. That's a good tip. If you're doing a podcast, don't move away from the mic. It's absolute murder for the editors.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Anyway, that's a great tip, Bob. Thank you so much for people who do podcasts. Probably not that many that listen to us, but thank you to those who reach out to us and just thank us. It's really nice and really get great feedback about this podcast. So if you would like either Bob or myself on your podcast or another podcast, feel free to reach out. We are keen to jump on a few other podcasts. Anyway, before we talk about podcasts, talk about giving away the book, I'm going to tell you what inspired this week's episode, and that was an email from Cam. And I'm going to read the entire email. I can read the whole thing. And then you'll understand why we are talking about build contracts or building contracts in our podcast this week. So anyway, hi Hilary, my name's Cam. Along with Ben, we have been working through your online course, arming ourselves with intel. Love it. And we've booked in for the Gold Coast workshop in September. So that's another wee note there. So on the 19th, 20th and 21st of September, we have our 3-day workshop in the Gold Coast. And it is a phenomenal event. If you want to learn property development from anyone, you need to learn it off Bob Anderson, me and Aaron on the side as well. We're doing our bits. But Bob has just got over 40 years experience and it's just a fantastic event. It's well catered, you're well looked after, there's fabulous networking. I just can't plug it high enough. It's like the event of the year for me. I get 3 new outfits and live the dream, lots of socializing. Anyway, back to the email. We've taken the plunge recently and through some good contacts and what we've learned, we have had an offer accepted on a block with 2 months left until settlement. We're subdividing the block in Grange, when I read this to Bob, I said South Africa. It's not, it's South Australia. We're subdividing the block in Grange, South Australia, and building 2 new houses. Whilst Ben and I both work in commercial construction, residential is a bit of a different ballgame. Of the builders we've spoken with for this mid-high-end product, they won't consider a competitive tender process and will only look at a single select. We would also like to manage budgets side by side with design. Whilst I commonly work in this scenario from the builder's side of the table, I'm finding it different when I'm the client and different when it's residential. We are building a good relationship with the builder, and Ben has previously worked with them in their house, with their in-house architect, and has a strong relationship, which is why we've chosen them. We're finding ourselves having the discussion on how do we ensure we get value for money when the competitive tension isn't there. Long story short, I thought this would be a great podcast episode. I listen every week. Sometimes I have to play catch up, but I don't believe this is something you've covered. Thanks for the content and look forward to meeting you guys in September. Thanks, Cam. Cam, what a great email. Thank you. And what a great question. How do we ensure we get value for money when the competitive advantage isn't there? So when I read that to Bob, he said, I think this is a great opportunity to unpack building contracts.
Yeah.
Yes. And interestingly enough, we have just had a bit of a scenario with our build contracts. Do you want to unpack that before we get started, Bob?
Well, we're about to sign a contract. So it's one of our industrial developments at the moment. So we did the full tender, select tender. So we chose 5 builders, and we ended up, we get 4 prices back. So one of them opted out, and quite a variation between the cheapest and the most expensive one. And so we'll be at a point next week where we'll make a final decision. We've got one more price to come in. We'll make a call. I'm pretty sure I know who we're going to pick already, but we'll see what the last builder in is, and then we'll work towards a contract. So I guess, we'll make up our mind next week who we're going to choose. In a week, it's probably another week, 7, 8, 9 days after that, we'll have a contract.
There's a big but on this one, and I'm not talking about the but we're sitting on. The but with this one was the QS report, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we were at a point where we bought the site a little while ago. We've got all our approvals ready to go to tender, but we wanted to line our construction finance up. So we started, before we tendered the construction to the builders, we approached the quantity surveyor because we thought, well, if we can get the quantity surveyor's price in, we can actually kickstart the finance so that as soon as we choose a builder, we bang into it, we got the money. Problem is, quantity surveyor came back with a stupid price, and it was way higher than certainly what we had in our feasibility, and that sort of we went, whoa, hang on, what's going on here? Did we get it wrong? And we didn't think we got it wrong. And so we decided that we'd pull up stumps there, that we wouldn't present the quantity surveyor's estimates to the financier, that we'd wait until we got the actual prices from the builders.
Because that could have caused all sorts of disasters.
Well, it would have affected our loan tremendously, because it was way over. The build cost that they were suggesting is way over. This is a big quantity surveyors firm. It's not a backyard one. It's one I've known them for 25 years. So, but they got it badly wrong.
Because we've got prices in, and it proves that they're wrong.
Yeah, it proves they're wrong. Yeah. So the price we got in is way below them. So the financier will use our proper tender prices from the builder. So we won't need to present the quantity surveyors. It slowed us down a little bit, but certainly worth it. It wouldn't work the other way. So all good. So
what's the lesson there, Bob? What is the lesson in that example that just happened to us? What is the takeaway?
I guess, look, it's a quantity surveyor we've used before. They've always been a little bit light, but we've always been okay. But this is a bad one. They got it really bad. And I guess you don't really know. You don't really know until you get it. But when you get it, you know it's wrong. And so the alternative was just slow down, get the builders' prices in. So it's not a catastrophe, just slowed us down by probably 4 or 5 weeks, but well and truly worth it.
Holy moly.
And we're having a good talk to those guys, and might just switch next time. We got another one coming up pretty soon.
Settling on Friday?
Interestingly enough, yeah, it does. Yeah, it settles well Friday. Today's Wednesday as we record. So you've been on the phone all day.
Been on the phone for 2 days, really, juggling.
Financiers and lawyers and everything today, trying to make sure it's going to happen in 2 days' time. So a few last-minute runarounds as usual, hey?
Yeah, the reason with the last-minute stuff, it's because we use investors. So they're just legal documents being signed, and just little things happen that you don't realise. Like somebody's trust deed hasn't been stamped and it's from New South Wales and it needs to be. And then you need somebody they just didn't do one of the DocuSigns, and then they happen to be out of the country, and you're just running around after people. But anyway, we'll get there.
Plus the fact that we're buying a parcel of land that's only just been subdivided. In fact, the titles are only issued 5 days ago, and we have 7 days to settle. So that puts a lot of pressure on as well. So, but we'll get there. You'll get there.
Yes, we will get there. It looks like we're having to put measures in place to make sure we do get there, because it is a great deal. And if the deal fell over, the seller could sell it for a lot more now. So fingers crossed it all happens for us on Friday. We've got all of our ducks in a row that could be. There's nothing left for us to do really, apart from hope that the last things happen.
There's a bit more than hope. I think we got it to a point now it'll be right. But took a lot of juggling on your part today, jumping from one phone to the other, from lawyers to financiers, lawyers to brokers to the whole mix.
Had to pull Bob in. I was like, Bob, I need you on this conversation just to make sure that we had everything that we could do done. But anyway.
So just quickly back to that QS, in case some people are wondering.
Mm.
We had a price in our feasibility. The quantity surveyor came in way over that. Now we've got prices in. It looks like our best build price is about 2 to 3% below what we have in our feasibility. And so it proves that we were right and the quantity surveyor was wrong, but also proves we got a good price, and so we're spot on target in our budget.
Yes.
With a couple of dollars left.
Yeah. A couple, I think you said, wasn't it 160,000? Didn't you say that was the couple of dollars less?
Yeah, it could have been.
It might have been, yeah, around there.
Yeah.
But how good's that? Yeah. Okay, so we thought, that's a great story because it leads into contracts and build contracts. Bob, we're going to cover through lump sum fixed price and time contracts, cost plus contract, guaranteed maximum price contract, design and constructs versus tender, D&C, and then tender.
Yeah.
So let's start with lump sum fixed price contract.
It's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it?
I know. You try say it. Do you actually try say that?
I've said it a few times.
Oh, yeah.
Lump sum fixed price and time. Yeah.
Okay, go.
I go.
You go. Tell us about those.
These are the most common type of contracts that we do. And part of the reason for that is it's the one the financiers like, because financiers like certainty. And when it comes to a building contract, it's a big number. It's a big chunk of your costs. If you add up the land value and your building contract, it's about 80% of all your costs. So the building contract could be, somewhere between 40 and 50% of your cost. It's a big number and a very important number. And so the banks want to know when they lend you the money as close as possible exactly what it's going to cost. So lump sum, fixed price and time. Lump sum means a particular sum of money, an exact amount of money. Fixed price means the contract won't change in price except for a few certain circumstances that will be outlined in the contract. Fixed price and time, and it'll have a time to it.
A lot of certainty in there, and that's why it's liked, doesn't it? Like ticks everyone's happiness box.
Lump sum, fixed price and time. So the financier knows, okay, this is the contract amount. It's not going to change much, and it's going to be finished in a certain amount of time. They need to understand the time so they can work out the interest component, which is an important part of any loan, of course, particularly commercial finance being capitalised. So they need to understand that. So that's the one they like.
So Bob, what are the things actually we'll go through them all and then we'll have a chat about your thoughts on them. Okay, let's do cost plus contract.
A cost plus isn't the favourite one of a financier. So what happens here is your contract price, the price that you end up paying, is first of all the cost. So we're talking about cost plus. Cost is the total cost of the building construction. So it would be made up of, I suppose you could break it up into labour and materials, or all the subcontractors' prices plus the suppliers. That's what the cost is. Every dollar, every cent, every nail in that building construction is the cost part, and then the plus is what the builder gets for managing the contract. And so it's cost plus. So the plus could be a flat dollar amount, and that would depend on the type of project and the size of the project. It could be, let's say it was $200. It could be cost plus, not 200,000, but 200 would be good.
I think $200
There'd be a lot
is pretty
of
cheap.
builders going broke around town if they're making $200 out of a build. 200,000, let's say. It could be an upmarket duplex, whatever it is. Or it could be a percentage. It could be cost plus 15%, just to pluck a number. That's not an absolute. It could be any number. So I'm not a big fan. Well, cost plus, it's hard to use them. Financiers don't like them. I have managed to use them on some occasions, but generally they don't. And if I had a choice, I'd rather a dollar amount to the builder rather than a percentage of cost, because the more it costs, the more he makes. That's counterproductive to me. So that's what a cost plus means.
And who generally likes those, Bob? Is that more a builder pushes for one of those if they can get it?
Well, it's pretty safe for the builder because they're getting a certain amount of money or a chunk of money, whether it's a percentage or a flat rate, no matter what. Even if subcontractors' prices go up, materials go up, it doesn't affect them. It does affect the other person. We'll call the other person a developer, if you like, during this conversation. It certainly affects them. That's why financiers don't really like them, because, well, what's it really going to cost?
Mm.
That's the problem.
Okay, so then the next one we've got guaranteed maximum price contract.
Yeah, so that's a bit of a mix. These three we're going to discuss aren't the only three types of contracts, but they're probably, well, certainly lump sum fixed price at time is the common one. Guaranteed maximum price, I have used it, I liked it, and the financier was okay with it. So how that one works is the builder guarantees that the building contract won't go above a certain figure. Let's say he was doing a duplex and he said 1.6 million in plus GST or including whatever, doesn't matter. That's it. So that's the most it can be. Now, the tricky part comes in is the builder now goes about looking for cost savings, and they share that between themselves and, let's say, the developer. So let's say it was 1.6 million. It could end up 1.52 million because the builders found $80,000 worth of savings during the construction, but that 80,000 is shared between the two in a particular percentage. I haven't done one for a while. I did a 20 townhouse project.
How did it go? Like, was it a win-win for you and the
builder?
builder?
It was, yeah.
How much did you get back?
Look, I honestly can't remember exactly how much it came in under. I got a feeling it was like about 7%, something like that.
Wow.
But we shared it 80% to me and 20% to him. I've also done other ones where it's been 50-50. I thought that was pretty generous of the builder. A GMP 80-20 to me, 20 back to him. So that's a guaranteed maximum price. Financiers are generally okay with it, and they just use the maximum price as the number because they know it can't go above that. The savings, it's a bonus, obviously.
And you just threw in the GMP, like it's something.
GMP,
guaranteed maximum price. I got
yeah.
you.
Another acronym. There's about 50,000 in property development.
Yeah. Do you do CPC, cost plus contract, or no?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe you could
be
throw
a new
that
one.
in. Okay, let's now talk about design and construct versus tender.
Yeah, so
D&C.
Here's another one. D&C. There you go. Not DNC, DNC.
The end.
See, design and construct. So we tend to use those on I tend to use them on larger projects, something like an apartment block. And what it means is you need to select your builder early in the piece, either when you're preparing the development permit, or at least after you've got your development permit and you're ready to start your building permit and all the detailed design and the engineering and everything that happens then. So either way, and what the aim of the game here is, you'll pick a budget for your construction, and that's your target. You don't want it to go above that because that's what's in your FISO. You believe it's the right number. You've spoken to the builder. They think it's okay. They think they can beat that figure okay. And what happens is the builder then works with the design consultants to design the building so that it will come in at that figure or less. So it's a form what they call value engineering, although we're working with the builder. So how that might work. And the reason I tend to use it on larger projects, something like an apartment building, design is really important. Engineering is really important. You could have two engineers both work on a 5-story apartment block, and what one costs you compared to the other one could be 100,000 easy because it's just over-engineered. One of them over-engineers, 100 grand gone bang like that.
We were talking about over-engineering this morning, just with something else that we've got underway where the soil engineer went and over-engineered it, thinking we're building what? A skyscraper. and then they had to get it redone because that's just another one of the property development things that can happen that you just wouldn't be aware of, would you? Like you wouldn't even think of stuff happening like that.
Yeah.
But back to the...
So back to the D&C, the design and construct.
Yep.
So the builder works with, let's say you're the developer, but they might choose their favourite consultants. So the architect Now, if you're starting at the beginning, you can still choose the architect as a developer, but the builder works closely with the architect on design to make sure that it's not over-designed, that there's not things going into the design that are going to be really expensive when you come to build it.
Like massive voids and things like that in the entrance.
Yeah,
if it's not
complicated
needed.
roofs that don't need to be that complicated, cantilevers that don't need to be that big, which creates a lot of steel, a lot of cost, just foundations, like all sorts of things. And so they might work with your favourite architect, or they can incorporate their own. They'll particularly, if I was doing apartments, particularly want the builder to use their favourite structural engineer, because that's where things can go really wild on heavy construction, like apartments, is with the structural engineer. Like I said, easy, they can blow 100, 150 grand just by over engineering, whereas the builder will really keep his eye on the structural engineer to make sure they don't over engineer. Builders are pretty good at knowing when stuff's overcooked, what we call overcooked. You know.
Overdone.
Overdone, yeah.
Over-engineered.
Over-engineered in a lot of cases, or over-designed, if you like, from the architect's point of view. And so by having the builder in there, you get what I often call buildability. So buildability is where something's well built, it's well designed, it's well built, but there's not wastage in it. There's not these things that cost money that you don't get anything back for.
It sounds to me like a common sense approach.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's bringing the builder in on the approval process.
Yeah.
Engaging sometimes their favourite consultants, maybe a bit of a mix, and doing it that way. So that's the D&C. The other one you mentioned is the tender. So it's funny, the D&C, the design and construct method, is used even on small projects. And you don't, like I talked about using them on apartment blocks. You could use them on a duplex if you wanted to, like the D&C model. But in Western Australia and sometimes South Australia, which it just sort of takes a bit. South Australia sort of takes some things from the East Coast, some things from the West Coast, but particularly in Western Australia and to a degree in South Australia, builders, even on small projects, even on a house on land, like the design and construct method. So quite often, if you're doing a small development in Perth, you would engage a builder early, and they'd actually work with you on the whole of the development permit designs, then the building permit designs, and then they'd cost it out. And you'd be with a builder basically from the beginning to the end. On the East Coast, typically, we do that, in particular on larger buildings, but we tend to be more the tender process. So what we do is we engage different consultants to get our development permit, the architect, town planner, and surveyor, so forth. And then we engage a few more consultants to get our building permit, our construction certificate, architects back. Now we've got some engineers doing stuff. When we've got the complete package, all our design, everything there, fixtures, fittings, all the designs, then we go to the market and we tender. And generally it's what we call a select tender, where we might choose 3, 4. In this case, with the industrial, we chose 5 builders and 4 ended up quoting. And then you have a look at, and then the quotes come in, then you have a look at them and take it from there. So that tender process is more common on the East Coast. And so there's some good things about the D&C, there's some good things about the tender. There's a few things to look out for too.
Bob, that's some great unpacking of them all. So if we went back to Cam's question, being how do we ensure we get value for money when competitive tension isn't there, meaning, they're not worried that somebody else is going to beat them with the price.
Yeah, so
how do they do that?
I don't fully understand it. What I'm sort of gathering is that builders don't want to be part of a tender. In other words, you come to me, I'll give you a price. Don't shop your stuff around. It sort of sounded like that. That'd be okay if it was more of a design and construct. So I'd try and get the builder to take that extra step. And I think that's what the guys are talking about there.
Yeah, of the builders we've spoken to for this mid-high-end product, they won't consider a competitive tender process, and will only look only look at a single select. We would also like to manage budget side by side with design.
Yeah,
they're kind of wanting
that's
to
more
merge.
of a D&C.
Yeah.
So perhaps they can swing this builder because there seems to be some sort of relationship there, which is why they chose that builder. And so if there is, the more on the design and construct type of thing where they can get some input into it. The other thing is a cost plus could work there as well, but the financier might be not necessarily in favour. They're generally not big on cost plus, but not out of the question. But more likely, design and construct. So then just twist it that little bit further, where the developer can get a little bit involved in not just the pure design side of it, but like on the material selection and get a little bit more involved. It's a balance.
It's a balance. There's always something. Great question though, Cam, and hopefully
on larger projects, it tends to go more that way. That value engineering, and that's what I'd do on a 5-story apartment block if I was doing one. It's a bit harder on houses, and that's why they made the comment. They got commercial construction experience, and they're probably used to that type of thing, which it is relatively common. Now they've gone down not just to residential, but small residential. You don't go smaller than a house, and they're getting a bit of pushback from house builders. No offence to the builders out there, but house builders are sort of bottom of the pecking order as far as builders go. There's not much smaller you could build in a house. Then you step up to multi-units like townhouses and the like. Then you step up to apartments, and then a different type of building licensing, and you sort of go up from there. And the bigger it is, the more sophisticated it is, the more input that there often is on like construction management and the value engineering side of things. Pretty hard, purely residential, purely on a house. It appears in South Australia maybe a bit even harder than some.
And you know what else is impacting it? It impacts their bottom line, whereas when they're at work, it's probably not impacting their bottom line. So, yeah,
it's their bottom line this time. It's their project.
It's your butt.
I think they can get there. It sounds like there's a bit of a relationship. So
yeah, lean into the relationship.
Communication.
Yes.
And I mean, the builder just wants to know that people aren't trying to screw him.
Yep.
Yeah, as some people try and belt the builder down. It rarely works. It's usually pretty counterproductive.
Yeah, rarely, Bob means not really works. He means rarely rare, not really. Yes. So, Bob, underneath that, we've got tender DA and BA, choose builders to quote, choose builder.
Yeah, so that's what we just moved on to after the D&C. It's the standard way we do it, typically on the East Coast. The one we're doing at the moment, we're doing that. We've got the engineers, the architects. We've drawn up all our industrial sheds. That one's a 16-shed project. And then we've gone to the market with the full package, the full architectural design, all the engineering plans, the fit out inside, everything, and gone to the market. Got lump sum, fixed price and time contracts. That's the way we're doing that one. Financiers happy. We're happy. There won't be much to vary in that price. It's pretty simple. I mean, it's way simpler to build those than the duplex we just did.
Holy moly, yes.
Way simpler. It's concrete slab.
Tilt slabs.
Tilt slab sides and a tin roof.
Yeah, and a mezzanine floor and toilets and stuff.
Yes, timber mezzanine floor for the office part, 16 of them. So pretty straightforward.
Surely can't be that difficult.
No, look at the duplex we did.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, the complexities of the kitchens and the bathroom and
all
that plumbing. And,
it makes you think of the plumbing
and lifts and duplex. We put lifts in and wine fridges. God knows what's in there.
Yes.
That we don't have to do in the industrial. Interestingly enough, I think that took about 10.5 months to build that duplex that we did. These 16 industrial units, I think more like about 8 months.
Crazy, isn't it?
Mm.
Yes, very. Yeah. Do you think that is because the least it's far less complex, or a bit of more efficient builders as well?
Yeah,
both.
Less complex. That's certainly got a bit to do with it. But bigger building companies.
Yeah,
they'll just go in there and smash it.
Yeah, cool. It's exciting stuff, and
smash it in a good way.
Yeah, smash it through. It is pretty exciting. So that's about to happen, which is awesome. And then settling for us on Friday on another bigger block of industrial units.
That's 24 industrial units. That one's a bigger one.
And that's awesome. And that, again, that's investors. They're great investments, those ones. So we're actually looking.
You've got a new one coming up.
I have got a new one coming up. I've just today received the preliminary information memorandum. So that I'm just trying to decide how I send that out to the people that I know to market, or to. I usually have a VIP list that I reach out to first of all, and then I send it out to anybody else. So
do you ever go past the VIP list?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
I will. I'll definitely go past. We sort of it's been rebuilding that sort of thing up again under the ultra urban banner. So, but if you are interested in learning about the new opportunity, we generally like investments of 250,000
or more,
and above. So don't really like investments that are smaller than that. I think I'll be raising a few million. So if you're interested in knowing more about that, reach out to me. It won't be able to be self-managed super fund. So that's one thing.
Not that one.
No, not this one. But if you're keen, I can send you the preliminary IM. I get some big words to say. And if you are keen, only if you're really keen, if you're just wanting to have a look at my IM and waste my time, please don't. I have enough conversations with people I know listen to this and they say, Hilary, I'm not a tire kicker, honestly. So thank you to the non-tire kickers.
Tire kickers not welcome.
Tire kickers not welcome. But if you are interested, that will be, I probably should receive the real one. I had got to look at the draft today, should get the real one back tomorrow. So that will
By the time the podcast is out, it'll be time to put your hand up.
Yeah, I'll just be seeing what's about. Obviously, we start with a conversation. Nobody's locked in. Everyone looks at it and thinks, yeah, I'm happy to do that. We've got some, great. It's a great return. So another great one. Should we talk about what it is or not really?
Oh, I think give the rough outline.
Yeah, so it's a childcare, and it comes with 7 townhouses, isn't it?
Yeah,
mixed use.
So it's it's a conversion. So it's not a complete new build on the childcare. It's converting something that's already there.
Bob I could feel his prickles come up when we talked about it with Aaron, and Bob's like, conversion? Is it like renovating?
Sort of.
But we know what we're doing.
We got somebody on board as well in the project that's done quite a lot of conversions of childcare centres. So they're part of our team.
Yeah, we've got a good team.
And then on the adjoining area, which is currently a car park, is it 6 townhouses?
6 or 7. I'm not exactly sure. I have had a feeling it was 7, but it could be 6. But the good thing about this is the childcare can be done first, and it can be operational, and then we can kick off and start the rest of it, that helps with so many things.
Yeah.
So that's
an interesting one. Yeah.
It will be. I'll be reaching out to the first people, or my VIPs, and then I'll be reaching out to the wider community. So as I said, if you're keen, just reach out and let me know. Send me an email, hilary@propertymastermind.com.au. There will be a link below this, but I'm sure you can find me somewhere. Head over to our website. It's pretty easy to find us. And Bob, I think that's great. I think we've done enough on the building there. Lump sum, fixed price and time contract, cost plus contract, maximum price. Guaranteed maximum price contract, design and construct, versus tender, and that's pretty much it. Big thanks to Cam. I hope everything went okay. Be looking forward to having a beer with you and hearing all about it when we get to the workshop in September.
19 to 21.
19 to 21. Not that I drink beer, but I'm usually quite partial to a glass of wine or two. Well, that's the end of this week's episode, everybody. I hope you picked up something useful out of there, even just the little tips where we've talked about the problems that we've had over the last few weeks, getting things finalised and just, everyday property development. But we hope that you've picked something on this. And Cam, hope it all went well, mate. Look forward to catching up with you soon. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye now.
Bye.